And Representative Ransom. Members, we have a tribute. Representative Hooten.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request that Mr. Gregorio read the tribute, please. Thank you.
Mr. Gregorio.
State of Colorado, the Senate and House of Representatives, convened in the 73rd General Assembly, hereby honors the life of Charlotte Figi. On this day, April 7th, in 2020, the Governor of Colorado and the Colorado Legislature declared April 7th to be Charlotte Figi Day. In Charlotte's short 13 years, she impacted millions of lives here in Colorado and across the globe by being a pioneer pediatric cannabis patient, opening the door to cannabis treatment for millions of children around the world suffering from Dravet's, epilepsy, and numerous other medical conditions. Charlotte was the inspiration for the Realm of Caring, a nonprofit established to guide families through their healing journey with cannabis medicine. Charlotte was the inspiration for Charlotte's Web, a low THC strain of cannabis that was created as an effective medication for Dravet's, epilepsy, and many other conditions that affect pediatric patients. Charlotte's story inspired the Charlotte's Web Medical Hemp Act of 2014 and many other legislative efforts for the reform of cannabis laws around the nation. On April 7, 2020, we lost Charlotte from this world. While she has left, she will continue to have an impact on millions of lives here in Colorado and around the world. The state of Colorado shall honor her life and encompass her journey. We shall continue to work to protect access to cannabis medicine for these patients and look for ways to expand these protections. On request of Senate Minority Leader Chris Holbert, Senator Julie Gonzalez, and Representative Edie Hooten, given the 7th day of April, 2021, State Capitol.
Representative Hooten.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, members, for your attention. I invited Representative Ransom to join me here. She and I worked for 2 years on a bill to add autism spectrum disorder to the list of qualifying conditions for medical cannabis. And we worked 2 years with a very large group of families whose children suffer severe symptoms of ASD. As we know, ASD is on a spectrum from mild symptoms to quite severe self-injuring behavior, requiring helmets and gloves. And those were the families that we worked with. The bill passed twice, vetoed once, and signed into law the second time. So we persevered. But I asked her to join me because we have a lot of experience with families who have benefited tremendously from medical cannabis. And we have a list of eligible conditions, and I'll just take a moment to read them to you. That would be cancer and glaucoma, HIV or AIDS positive, post-traumatic stress, and chronic or debilitating disease or medical conditions that produce one or more of the following: wasting syndrome, persistent muscle spasms, seizures, severe nausea, severe pain, or acute pain as an alternative to opioids. So we honor Charlotte Figi today because her mother, who has joined us, Paige Figi, thank you for being with us, Paige. Her daughter, Charlotte, had a very severe form of epilepsy called Dravet's disease, where she was experiencing seizures in the thousands a month. And the prognosis for her future was not very bright. Paige learned about a particular CBD strain, cannabidiol, and that would reduce seizures. And so she, I wish you could explain the whole story, Paige, but but she tried this strain on her daughter, and the seizures almost ceased overnight. And that's when she was 3 years old. and she died last year. So for 10 years, she lived a life practically seizure-free. It was quite miraculous, and if you don't mind, I just want to read you a couple of paragraphs from a Denver Post story that it tells the whole story. It says, Charlotte was one of Colorado's many medical marijuana refugees whose family moved to the state following the legalization of cannabis. From the time she was an infant, she suffered from frequent and severe seizures because of Dravet syndrome, including many that required hospitalization. But at age 3, Paige Figi gave her cannabidiol, the non-psychoactive compound in cannabis known more commonly as CBD. Charlotte slept soundly for the first time. She went 7 days without a seizure. Over time, the seizures dropped from thousands a month to just a few. After not speaking for 6 months, she started talking again. Her journey was famously chronicled in a CNN documentary that inspired families like hers to try CBD, thrusting the relatively unknown cannabinoid into a national spotlight. The high CBD strain of cannabis that helped change her life was named Charlotte's Web in her honor. Research into CBD had been hampered by cannabis status as a Schedule I drug, but Charlotte's story led many states to pass their own laws regarding CBD. Just recently, the Drug Enforcement Agency removed Epidiolex, the only CBD-derived medication approved by the Food and Drug Administration, from the scheduled substances list. Though Charlotte is most often recognized for her contributions to popularizing CBD, her legacy reaches around the world. She and her family changed the global conversation about cannabis and convinced countless people of the medical benefits. So it is my honor to carry this tribute for her today, and I thank you all for your attention.
Representative Ransom.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I know a lot of you come in with mixed feelings on the whole idea of medical cannabis, but for those of us that know families firsthand that have actually seen miracles happen with the use of medical cannabis, especially in the area of seizures, it warms my heart to remember little Charlotte with her big smile. And I want to personalize this. Thanks for being here. To the Figi family. I remember her. I know a lot of you know my friend and neighbor, Ben Wan, who has also been on CBD and seizure-free for years now. And I see these, what almost look to be miracles from this. We're older. We remember when marijuana was seen in different eyes, but the medical piece of it really can help people and be of benefit. So I know I had to learn how to agree and actually promote the ability for children to be able to have this medicine. And I'm very glad that Representative Hooten invited me to be part of this tribute, because we will miss the kids that came in years ago to help open these doors. Jack would be another one. Some of you will remember Jack, and he died a few years ago. And so the ones that are no longer here, I'm glad that some of us still remember, and we do want to honor their memory. And I'm so glad that the governor has proclaimed April 7th as Charlotte Figi Day. Please just say a little prayer in your heart for this little girl who was able to live a much happier, nicer life, almost seizure-free for many years after really suffering for the first 3 or 4 years of her life. So anyway, thanks so much for being part of this, and thank you.
Thank you, members, and thanks to the family for being here.